Hi, my name is Dr. John Gizzeri. I'm a dentist in San Clemente, California. And in today's video, I'll be discussing the topic of dentures, which are also referred to as false teeth, false removable teeth to be more accurate. I'm going to explain to you in this video everything you need to know about dentures. First, I'm going to explain to you what dentures are. Then I will briefly go over the process of how dentures are fabricated. I'll discuss the different types of dentures, and believe me, there's a lot of them. I'll go over the advantages and disadvantages of dentures. I'll discuss the typical costs of dentures in the United States as well as insurance coverage for dentures. And finally, like all my other videos, I'm going to wrap it up by sharing with you my personal thoughts on dentures and who should have it, who should not. Like I said, by the end of this video, you will be a denture expert yourself. Now, before I start my thorough and comprehensive discussion of dentures, I'd like to draw your attention to the website even28.com. That's EVEN, the number 2, the number 8.com, like the 28 teeth in your mouth. Even28 is a dentist surgeon. So if you're looking for a dentist and you don't have one, go to the website. You can search by zip code, by city to find a great dentist next to you. You can browse 2 profiles of dentists to learn more about each one, including what services they offer, their office hours, and you can read their reviews. Once you find a dentist you like, you can submit your online request for an appointment directly from the website, and this is all for free. There's nothing to pay. Also, if you are a dentist, go to the website right now, submit your application so you can claim or create your complimentary profile, and you can be present on the dentist search engine. And there's a lot of other things you can do on the website, but go ahead right now and sign up. The website is even28.com. I'll see you there. Okay, so let's start by discussing exactly what dentures are. So dentures are commonly referred to as false teeth, but I find that to be kind of weird because pretty much everything dentists do are false teeth, right? If you do a filling, that's a false portion of the tooth. If you do a crown, the entire upper portion is false. A dental implant, completely false tooth. So the better way to refer to dentures is false removable teeth. And that's exactly what distinguishes dentures from everything else I mentioned. So if you have a filling, it may be false, but it's stuck inside your tooth. It doesn't come out. The same goes with a crown. Crowns are glued on top of your teeth and they stay on top of the teeth. They don't come out. An implant is screwed into the jawbone. It stays in your jaw. It doesn't come out. Dentures, in contrast to pretty much everything else in dentistry, except maybe some orthodontic stuff like retainers or night guards, comes in and out. So dentures are the only replacement to teeth that are removable from your mouth. And if you notice, this would be a sample denture. Okay, so if you had these teeth missing, you would actually put this in your mouth to replace those missing teeth. That's basically what denture is. Now, if you look at the denture, and this is a typical partial denture, but this kind of gives you an idea of pretty much everything you need to know about the dentures. So the pink part is made from resin or acrylic or something similar to that. That's used to basically give it firmness and to have your denture kind of stay in place and grip onto your other teeth, if you have any, or at least get suction from your jaw for stability and support. And then you have the teeth portion, right? The white teeth, those are just typical resin teeth. And those are what you use to chew on them. Now, dentures are not nearly as comfortable or as nice as your own teeth. Dentures typically give you anywhere from 30 to 60% chewing efficiency. So the more teeth you lose, the less comfortable you're going to be with your dentures, okay? And they also give you the aesthetic function of having the missing teeth. But again, it's a case-by-case basis. Some dentures tend to do really well. Some denture wearers are just denture-wearing superstars, as I call them. They do really well with dentures. They chew everything. They function comfortably. Then again, there are patients who are just miserable with their denture. So, those patients that go spend thousands of dollars and invest a year or two into getting dental implants, those are the patients that don't do well with dentures. And a lot of that comes down to how much jawbone you have, how many teeth you have for support, how the quality of your gum tissue, and a lot of other details that patients themselves don't notice. But regardless, dentures are a way where you can replace your missing teeth for a very affordable price, and it's very easy and convenient, as I'm going to get to later on in this video. Okay, now that you have a clear understanding of what dentures are, let's go over the process of how dentures are fabricated, or basically how your dentist makes dentures. So dentures, the complexity of dentures determines how long it is. If you're missing one tooth, your dentist can basically take an impression and have your denture ready in a week or two for you. Now, if you're missing more teeth, then it's a 4-step process. Typically and again, there's always variations, but I'm gonna go over the 4 steps so you kind of get familiar with what to expect if you're gonna go get a set of dentures. So the first step is the dentist takes an impression of your mouth. And this is how it works, right? We use these trays and we put this putty or impression material and we just take an impression of your teeth as well as your jaw. If you notice, this is going to be for a partial denture. So not only do I want to capture the patient's teeth, but I want to capture as much gum tissue as possible. So the first step is always the impression, and that's sent to the lab, where the lab pours it up and basically creates a model, a stone model that corresponds to the impression. And now basically the lab technician has a copy of your teeth and jaws in front of him. So that's step number 1, which is impression. Step number 2 is called the wax ring. And this is what that would look like. Okay, so what this is they make this, and then this is placed in the patient's mouth as such, right? So this is gonna fit that stone model that was just created. And then at this point, we're gonna do some markings. We're gonna mark, for example, in this case, where the middle is, corresponding to where the nose is. We call that the midline. We might mark the smile line. If canines are there, we can mark those, and a whole bunch of other things. And this is the point where you get to pick a tooth color. So we'll give you a shade guide. There will be different shades. We'll pick them. If you already have teeth like this patient does, we can try to match those. But yeah, that's the second step, which is called the wax try-in, and we use that to determine the position as well as the color of the teeth. On the third visit, you get to actually see the teeth. Now the teeth are going to be set in the same wax I just showed you. So instead of the wax, there'll be like 4 or 5 teeth there. And this is the teeth try-in step, step number 3. On this step, you still have the chance to change the color, change the position. Sometimes patients don't like the way the teeth look, all right? The patient says, I want bigger teeth, smaller teeth. So this is your chance, because it's placed in wax, to judge how the teeth look. Now, what I want you to do is don't pay too much attention to where the pink part is. The pink is still the wax, and we're gonna process that to finish into resin or flexible material, whatever it may be. The focus needs to be on the teeth, on the third step, which is the teeth trying. And then finally, on the last step, the denture is processed to finish, and you'll have it, and you can actually take them home at whatnot. So those are the 4 steps to making dentures. And depending on how your dentist is, it can be done in 1 visit. There are some lab clinics which specialize in dentures, and that's all they do. They have a lab tech in there and they do it. Not a lot of them, but there's a few of them. So those guys make their dentures in 1 day or in 1 or 2 days. Most dentists, they do each step a week apart, maybe 2 weeks apart. So it takes them about a month or 2 to make it. But of course, if you're in a rush, you can talk to your dentist. You know, I've had patients that have lost their teeth or they broke in half. So I may be able to give them something temporarily, or I may be able to expedite the process. But typically that's what you're looking at. 4 visits over the course of 1 month, about a week or so apart. Now, this is just to get your dentures. Once the dentures are made, you have to go home and chew with them. And depending on how many teeth you have missing, you're going to need more and more adjustments. If you have just 1 tooth missing, it's a rather simple fit, and it should be an easy process to get used to it. But if you're missing all of your teeth, you're getting a full denture, then there's going to be a lot of sore lesions. So on average, my denture patients need anywhere from 2 to 5 adjustment visits. Of course, there are those people that have to come for, maybe 10 adjustment visits, and those are the ones that usually tend to not do really well in dentures, and they're the ones that I start talking about dental implants then. But dentures need to be adjusted, so those also need to be included in the process, which brings the whole process to a 2 to 3 month process in order to make your teeth and get used to them and get them adjusted to the point that where you're comfortable with your false teeth. So that's the process of making dentures. Let's go ahead and talk about the different types of dentures. Okay, so we're going to talk about the different types of dentures that there are. And there's a lot of different types. I'm going to go over them very briefly in this video. I'm going to have other videos where I get into details about every different type of dentures. But let's go ahead and familiarize with you with the different types of dentures that exist out there. So if you're missing some but not all of your teeth in each arch, so let's say I have 2 teeth left or 4 teeth left or 6 teeth left, doesn't matter. As long as I have even 1 tooth in each arch, what you're getting is called a partial denture. Okay, so the model where we used earlier, right? So this patient is missing 5 teeth, for example, and he has like maybe another 7, 8 teeth of his own. So this is going to be a partial denture that replaces some but not all of the teeth. And if you notice partial dentures, There's a portion of them that has the teeth, and there's the area without the teeth, and they have clips on it. There's three basic types of partial dentures. The one I showed you is a resin base. That's the easiest one to make and typically the least expensive one. Then there's a metal framework partial, where there's an actual metal framework in here that sits and grips all of your teeth. And then there's a flexi partial, where these clips are made from pink plastic that's flexible, and the whole denture is actually flexible as well. So those are the three main types of partial dentures, which I'm going to make other videos to go over them. You can check for that in the description below. All right, now, if you're missing all of your teeth, it's not a partial denture anymore, right? There's nothing partial about it. It's called a complete denture, which we also refer to as full denture. So this would be an example of a full denture. This is the bottom one. And if it's an upper one, it would actually cover the roof of the mouth. So it would be much bigger as such. So full dentures replace all of your teeth in each arch. If you have a full lower denture, everything on the bottom gets replaced. If you have a full upper denture, everything on the top gets repaired. So full dentures or complete dentures are dentures for people who have no more teeth in each respective arch. All right, those are the more common kinds of dentures. There's other types as well. One of them is called the implant supported dentures, and those are dentures that have implants to stabilize them. The other names for these are snap-on dentures or overdentures. And I'm going to show you a model of this. So this would be an example of an implant supported dentures that's supported by two implants. This is half the model. I just took it off, so it's really hard. But anyways, that's kind of how implant supported dentures look like. So the implant, there you go, now you can see it, supports the dentures to make it more stable. These are usually used for full dentures, complete dentures, in order to stabilize them. You can actually put implants to stabilize partial dentures, although partial dentures get their stability from the actual teeth, so this is not very common. Usually the implant supported dentures have no teeth left. But anyways, regardless, those are what implant supported dentures are. You put in 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4 implants to stabilize the dentures. There's another type of denture, as I said, there's a lot of them, called the immediate denture. And the way that works is, let's say I'm planning on pulling all of my teeth, or just my front tooth. It doesn't really matter. What you can do is you can go to your dentist and tell them the story, and they can take an impression, send it to the lab, and make your dentures in advance, right? So if I'm pulling this tooth, I tell my dentist, the dentist takes an impression and makes a one-tooth flipper, like the denture, which I showed you, the partial denture. And then I do the surgery, then when my tooth is removed, the partial is already ready. So if your denture is made in advance, that's called the immediate denture, because what happens is as soon as the tooth comes out and the surgery is done, the immediate denture goes in. There's, again, pros and cons to immediate dentures. They're not as good of a fit, but at least you have something to use the day of the surgery. And again, I'll get more into those in my other videos. But anyways, as you can see, dentures have a lot of different uses in dentistry because people lose teeth. And when they lose teeth, dentures is a real easy replacement for them. And again, depending on how many teeth you're missing, whether or not you want implants, whether or not you want the dentures beforehand or afterhand, you decide what type of dentures you need. And that's what you need to talk to your dentist based on the knowledge that you're going to get in my video, right? Okay, so those are the different types of dentures. Let's keep going over the advantages and disadvantages of dentures. So let's discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of wearing dentures. Now, for the purpose of this video, this is going to be all the different types of dentures. It's just anything that's a removable teeth in your mouth, whether it's one tooth or all of your teeth. So the first advantage of a denture, and the most obvious one, is the cost. Usually people who are getting dentures are avoiding getting implants or maybe crown and bridges for the time being or permanently, regardless. The bottom line is dentures are just a lot less expensive than any other option, whether you're talking about crowns and bridges or whether you're talking about dental implants. Dentures are always the least expensive option. And the reason for that is because, first off, they're easy to make. Second of all, your dentist doesn't have to invest a lot of time and energy into it. I mean, they basically take impressions and the lab technician does most of the work. So dentures are easier. I mean, I tend to find it easier to make a denture than do a crown prep, or definitely than an implant. So because of all those reasons, dentures just don't cost as much. And we're going to get into the cost of dentures later on. But if you have teeth missing or single tooth missing, denture is going to be your least expensive, most economical way to replace that missing tooth or teeth. All right, so that's one of the advantages of the dentures. Another advantage is the time. You know, if you need implants, you have to invest in months, sometimes years. It really depends on how many implants it is, but implants are a long drawn out process. So a lot of times people get dentures because it's so much easier, right? Dentures can be made in days or weeks, typically, maybe a month or two if it's a complex case, or if your dentist just takes a little bit longer. But regardless, dentures are a lot easier. The process is much quicker. And, if you're planning on taking out some teeth and you want something to replace it, dentures are your answer. You'll have your teeth back in a matter of days, weeks, sometimes some dentists even make them in the same day. But, if you're going with implants, it's a longer process. In fact, there are patients who are getting implants, but they get dentures during the healing process. So their dentures have a lot of different uses, and one of them is that because they're very easy to make and they don't take a lot of time. The last advantage of a denture that I'd like to discuss is, again, just the ease of the process. Implants, crown and bridges involve a lot of needles, a lot of cutting, surgeries, pain, medications, antibiotics, you name it. Dentures, none of those. I mean, they take your impression might poke your gums a little bit, but the pain level is substantially less than any other invasive dental treatment that could be the option to replace your missing teeth. So dentures are easy, they're affordable, and they just don't take a long time, which is why some patients love them. Okay, so those are the advantages. Now, let's talk about the disadvantages of the dentures. The main disadvantage of dentures is they're just not that good. Now, that comes in with an asterisk mark. I basically break down my denture patients into two categories. They're the denture-wearing superstars who do really well and chew all kinds of food and just love their dentures. And then they're the ones who just constantly struggle with their dentures. And you really don't know which category you belong to until, you get your dentures. So if you do really well with dentures, that's great, but not everybody does. Some people are constantly struggling with it, having sore lesions and finding them very difficult. Those people usually end up putting some glue on it. Denture glue sometimes helps. But then again, the key word is sometimes. There are people who can't even have their denture stable, even with denture glue. And again, even if your denture is great, the chewing capacity of the denture is always less than natural teeth. So, you can't chew maybe a steak or bite into an apple with it. Your bone continues shrinking if you have nothing there. Implants preserve your jawbone, dentures do not. So people who wear dentures for a very long time, their jawbone shrinks. And you develop more wrinkles. So if you're missing multiple teeth, this area, whatever the area of your mouth it is, there's no support. Dentures do not support your cheek muscles. They're not strong enough, so you develop wrinkles. So there are a lot of advantages to dentures in terms of replacing teeth for the time being, but in terms of the bigger, longer term effect of chewing, bone preservation, and preserving your cheek muscles and whatnot, dentures are not very effective. Okay. Another disadvantage of dentures is they break and they get loose over time. So patients sometimes have to replace them because if you drop the dentures, if you drop this thing, this is the denture, these are very likely to break, okay? And you can also lose them. I've had patients drop them down the sink, dog eats it, stuff happens. So you got to be careful with them. Always take them out in a very specific area, keep them in a container, keep them moist. You got to be careful not to break them. I've had patients who've had dentures for decades, but I have patients who break them 6 months after I make their first set. And then also dentures just age a lot. Porcelain and ceramic teeth and implants, they tend to look good and they retain their chewing capacity and their looks over time. These denture teeth get worn down really quickly. So patients who actually use their dentures, their teeth become flat and wear down over the years, especially if you have natural teeth opposing dentures. So if you have a couple teeth here and dentures on the other side, the denture teeth get really banged up really quickly. They change color and they just lose their chewing efficiency within a matter of years. So the wear and tear on them is substantially higher because of the material that they're made from. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of dentures. Let's go ahead and talk about the cost of dentures in the next part. Okay, so now we're going to go over the cost of dentures, false teeth. This is the part that you're going to be excited about because if you're planning on getting dentures, the good news is dentures are very affordable. In fact, when you compare dentures to all the alternative options such as crown and bridges and dental implants, dentures cost a fraction of those other alternatives. Okay, now the cost of the denture depends on how many teeth you're replacing and if it's the material of the denture. So, there can be some variation, but I would say if you're having, let's say, one tooth missing, the average cost for a flipper denture for one tooth in the United States is about $500-600. Then that's the average cost. The low end might be $300-400. The high end might be like $1,000. If you're missing all of your teeth, which is a full denture, then I would say the average cost in the United States is about $2,000. Low end is 1,000, high end is like 3,000, 4,000. So regardless, those numbers are actually very little when you compare them, because if you think about it, if you have all your teeth missing and you need the upper lower set of dentures, that's usually less expensive than just one dental implant, right? Because you could probably get a full set of dentures for $3,000 to $5,000. That's what about the dental implant costs in the United States. So dentures are a very affordable way to replace one tooth or multiple teeth. So even if you're planning on getting dental implants, but you can't necessarily afford it today, get your dentures, because it's a good way to preserve your jawbone and keep your teeth from shifting until you are ready for the dental implant. Okay, so that's as far as the cost of dentures. Now, insurance coverage is also very good for dentures, or at least you'd hope it'd be, because insurance companies don't like paying for dental implants. They usually find a way to reject them. But when you ask for dentures, they're always like, cool, we're going to cover your dentures. Of course, the catch here is when they pay for dentures, they don't pay for really anything else. So I have patients that are planning on getting multiple implants and their insurance covers it. So in those cases, I tell them, just let the insurance pay for the implants and I'll make you a temporary denture, which you pay for. So you basically have to decide between implants or dentures if your insurance company covers both. But then again, they usually don't cover the implants, so just have them pay for the dentures. Case by case basis, talk to your dentist to get more information about it. But regardless, denture is a well-covered procedure. The insurance usually pays 50 to 80% of your denture fee, and that leaves you with a copay that's only half of what it would cost otherwise. Okay, so those are how dentures are made. Now, at this point, I'd like to bring to your attention that in the United States, dentists make dentures. So what happens is you come to me, I take your impressions, the impression goes to the lab. The lab makes the wax rims. You come to me, I measure your bite, same process, goes to the lab, they do the teeth trying for the process. So 4 visits with me, every single time you come to me, I send it to the lab, back and forth. This is not how it is in the other countries. So outside of the United States, in most countries, there's a profession called a denturist, right? Dentures, like a denture specialist. Those are basically lab technicians who have permission to do the denture right there and then. So, if you go to a denturist in any country that has it, the denturist will basically take your impressions, make your denture right there and then one day, and you're done. So if you go to a place that does that, dentures cost a couple $100, if that, $100, $200, I would say usually, because the middleman, which is me, the dentist, is basically cut out in those situations. So again, this is not legal in the United States, and there are benefits of going to your dentist, because if you come to me, I can check you for oral cancer, I can do the gum surgeries, I can take out your bad teeth, etc., etc. But if all you need is just a denture, it's not a bad idea to just go straight up to the denturist and do it. Again, not allowed in the United States, but it is in other states, countries, which is why it's so much even cheaper than it is here to get a denture in another country. Now, it's not very common to fly to other places for dentures because they're already affordable in the United States to begin with, but that is something I thought it's noteworthy of mentioning to you, that you can actually make dentures without being a dentist in some other countries, most other countries outside of the United States. Okay, so now it is time for me to share my final thoughts on what I feel like about dentures. Okay, now, some people are getting dentures because they're planning on getting dental implants in the future. Great, go get your dentures, kill the time until you get your dental implants. But there are people who are getting dentures as a permanent replacement to their teeth, whether it's 1 tooth, 5 teeth, or all 28 teeth of their mouth. They want to get dentures to replace them. Dentures are obviously not as good as implants, but then again, not everybody can afford implants. So let's be realistic here. There's 2 types of denture wearers, as I mentioned earlier in the video. There's the denture wearing superstars that love their dentures. My dad's an example of him. He chews everything with these dentures, apple, steak, whatever you give to him, just bites with his dentures. So there's people like that. Now, people like that always have very good jawbone, and they have very thick gum tissue on top of it. So that's what holds the denture in place, right? And then there's the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Those are the people who've been having dentures and they hate them. They gag on them. They maybe have extra bones that aren't letting the dentures completely sit in their place. They have very fragile, thin gum tissues, which causes tons of sore spots. And they don't have a lot of jawbone left, so the denture doesn't have much to support, because complete dentures, right, full dentures, need something to create the suction to hold them in place. So as you lose more jawbone, your denture becomes looser and looser. So then this is the second category of people who just don't have enough jawbone to support their dentures, and they don't like their dentures. They hate it. These are the people that go spend tens of thousands of dollars investing in dental implants to secure their dentures or to replace their dentures with permanent teeth, which is all on 4 teeth or full mouth implants, which you can learn about in my other videos. But those are the two categories of dentures. Now, that's just the general speech about the dentures. There's also differences between partial dentures and full dentures, right? Partial dentures in which you still have a couple teeth left and a couple missing. Full denture is when they're all gone. So what you want to do is you want to stay in partial dentures for as long as possible. So if you have 3, 4, 5 good teeth that are supporting your dentures, try to maintain those teeth, because the later in life you transition to full dentures, the better off you are. First of all, partial dentures have a couple teeth that support the dentures, so that basically acts the same as the implant, which is why I usually don't do implants on patients who have 4, 5, 6 teeth, right? That supports the dentures, they're happy enough. But the minute you lose your last tooth in your mouth, and now you have to transition to a full denture, things get a lot worse. So you want to try to either avoid dentures, or if you have dentures, you want to try to keep some teeth so you can support them. And of course, if you reach the point where you don't have any teeth, then you got to see how well you do with the dentures. Now, sometimes it's not a well-made set of dentures, so if you get a new denture, that could solve your problem. But then again, there are cases that get a new denture and they're still miserable. Okay, well, then you have to start thinking about investing into dental implants. But having said all of those things, dentures are much better than not having anything to replace your teeth. Because if you're going to be toothless, whether it's one tooth or all of your teeth, dentures help you chew. Granted, they don't have really high chewing efficiency, but they're better than gumming it, chewing on your gums, basically. They keep your teeth from shifting, so if you have a few teeth missing, the partial denture keeps them from moving all over the place. And it holds your cheeks out. It gives you something to improve your appearance and your speech. So if you have teeth missing and you're thinking about getting dentures, go for it. Now, if you can afford implants in the future, great, fantastic. But if you can't, dentures are better than nothing. Absolutely, no question. And when you look at the costs and what they give you, I mean, it's a really good bargain, because you can have your teeth replaced in a quick amount of time for a very reasonable fee until, finances get better and you can get to a more permanent solution. But dentures, they've been around in dentistry for hundreds of years, and they serve their purpose. They give you something to chew on, they improve your looks, and they enhance your speech. And they're just better than not having teeth in your mouth. So go get your dentures, and if you can do other stuff, fantastic. But if not, just get a nice set of dentures, go for your adjustments till the point that they get comfortable, and they're better than just walking around toothless. Okay, so that's my opinion on dentures. I like them, and for some people, they're just fantastic. Like I said, I have patients that just, like my dad, he doesn't even want to forego his dentures. And then, of course, there's patients that just cannot deal with their dentures. So do what you can to make your denture fit improve. And then if you reach the point where denture is just not quite cutting it, then have the discussion of dental implants and start planning out for that. But if that's going to be 3, 5, 10 years down the line, get your dentures today. It's easy, simple, and it's affordable. So those are my final thoughts on dentures. Best of luck with your false removable teeth. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment. I'll be glad to get back to you.